What's going on, guys? It's Filthy and I'm back with another video. This is going to be my Season 18 starter guide for the Necro. Now Season 18 is the season of Triune and it's going to start on the 23rd of August. The seasonal theme looks really cool. We're going to get power rings on the ground that we can jump into, open from level 1 all the way through the whole game, and they will either give us double damage, they'll significantly reduce our cooldowns, or they'll give us a 50% resource cost reduction. All of which is very nice, and that's going to make leveling this character super easy. And what we're going to show in this guide is how to get to 70 as quickly as possible to make sure you've got a guaranteed multiplier the whole way. I'm going to give you the percentage chances of getting various different items that will help you out either whilst leveling or whilst at 70, and we're going to show you how to build into Pestilence to get a permanent Land of the Dead build as quickly as possible to get you flying through the content. So in the background, guys, we've got some God mode Necro footage, so I'll link that build in the description. There's going to be all sorts of really cool new builds, I think, using the new items. I think Necro is definitely going to benefit from pretty much most of them, so it is going to be quite an interesting season. But that said, before we jump into the guide, I just want to welcome anyone who's new to the channel. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so, and a thumbs up is always appreciated on a video. Now if we look at Pestilences Asset, this is what we're going to get out of our Hadrig's bag, and it is actually quite a strong set. Now the 2-piece is probably one of the best 2-pieces in the game. Every time you consume a corpse, you fire a corpse lance at the nearby enemy. These things will fly off almost anywhere on the screen. It's one of the Necro's most damaging skills, so it's absolutely great, and it's just, as soon as you get it, it's really useful. Your damage will just go through the roof. The 4-piece will give you some damage reduction every time you hit with Corpse Lance, so you don't really have to worry too much about taking Corpse Explosion or Bone Spear. This will just happen naturally. And then the 6-piece gives you a fairly low modifier on Corpse Lance, particularly when you compare it to Legacy of Dreams, but don't worry, all the supporting items will really synergize well and make this a very strong and very quick build to start off with. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, let's go back to level 1 and show you how to get the Pestilence set as soon as you can. So the most important thing, guys, always with the season is to save your challenge rift. You don't want to do it on Monday when it resets, you want to save it till Friday, and at that point you can start the season, log into your character, exit the game, and then go and do your challenge rift, and it means that you'll be able to open the bag with your seasonal character, and inside that you'll have DBs, blood shards, gold and crafting mats. We'll obviously get on to how to spend all that. Now before you do any of that, what you're going to do is you're going to put the game on master difficulty. You're going to take your follower's weapon, and then you're going to also hit up a vendor in town to get maybe a couple of gear pieces. And then you're going to look for either Magda or Zoltan Kuhl as an Act 2 boss bounty. So on this particular game, we've got Magda, so you go and kill her, get the chest, and get some more gear pieces. And then once you've done that, you're going to put the game on normal difficulty, and you're going to go to Act 3. Ruins of Secheron, and you're going to go and get the cube as soon as possible, because this is what's going to give us a multiplier the whole way through leveling. Now once you've got the cube, you can then go and see Hadrig, and you'll be able to rank him up to max level, which is really nice because it means you can craft a 2-handed scythe, and there's only 4 legendaries in the loot pool, so when you upgrade this in a cube, you've only got one of 4 options. Now when you get this, check the secondary just to make sure it didn't roll with crazy level requirements reduction, in which case you'd hang on to it and craft another one. But assuming it drops kind of like that without it, you're going to take it to the cube, you're going to go to recipe 3, upgrade rare item, and you're going to pop it in, and it will give you a legendary 2-handed scythe. So there we go, we've got a Nair's Black Death. Again, check the secondary to make sure that it doesn't have reduced level requirements. You also want to check to make sure to see whether it's an ancient one, because if it is an ancient one, so let's see, like this one, you would take that to the Mystic and you'd go and see if you could re-roll for crazy level reduce requirement. So on an ancient 2-hander, if you stick it in, now the chance of hitting it is pretty low because obviously there's all these different things in the pool, but you can have a few stabs at trying to get 30 or 40 level reduce requirement, which obviously would be absolutely huge. But if you don't get an ancient, it's only about 1 in 10 of you will get it. Then you're going to basically take your legendary to the cube and you're going to extract it to put the power in. So you'd pop your Nair's Black Death in, for example, and go to extract legendary power, and then you'd fill it up and transmute it. Now obviously I can't do it because I've already extracted this power, but you will then have a multiplier the whole way. So the great thing about the Necro loot pool is there's only 4 two-handed scythes, so you can either get a Nair's Black Death, which will buff poison skills by 100% for 15 seconds. It's really easy to get anywhere from 2 to 4 skills on there, so maybe 3 or 400% multiplier the whole way. I got that last season, and you could do T2, T3, T4 even at certain points. Obviously the difficulty you're going to have is squishiness, but it does allow you to level very quickly. You can also get a Shadow Hook. This is just going to be a flat double damage because you're going to end up with roughly 100 points of essence. You can get a Blood-Tied Blade. This is absolutely amazing for leveling. It's an amazing early game because the multiplier goes up to 400% for every enemy within 25 yards. And if you go Massacre bonus level in the Halls of Agony, for example, you can easily get 10-20 skeletons in that 25 yards, and you can have 4,000, 8,000% multiplier. It's absolutely crackers. You'll just blast stuff really quickly. Obviously it's not very good for single target, so you would be massacre leveling with this one because Rift Guardians are just going to be a bit of a problem. And then you've got the Maltorious Petrified Spike. This will buff Bone Spear. The multiplier is really good, but unfortunately Bone Spear can only really damage 1 or 2 enemies at a time. It's very much a single target skill, and it also costs quite a lot of essence, so you run out of juice pretty quickly. But the Triune Ring for resource cost reduction will help this, but it's still probably dead last. The other 3 I think are really handy, but not so much this one. But you work with what the game gives you, and a multiplier is still pretty huge. Now that covers your DBs, so we need to work out what we're going to spend the blood shards on. Now it's up to you whether you want to try and mix and match combos. So for example, if you get the Nairs, then you might want to go for gloves to get the Grasp of Essence, because you can mix Poison, Corpse Explosion with the Nair's Black Death for like a double multiplier, which is what I was doing last season, and it did absolutely wreck. You might want to get an Iron Rose for a Blood-Type Blade because you'll get a free Blood Nova whenever you attack with Siphon Blood. But I thought we'll just run through the various options at level 1 and give you the percentage chance of them dropping. Now Grasp of Essence, that's actually got about an 86-87% chance of dropping. It's not 100% certain you'll get this, but it's pretty high. Now this will give you another multiplier whilst leveling on Corpse Explosion, so it's certainly worth considering. You could go for the Circle of Nilusi Vol Ring. I wouldn't recommend this. I don't recommend this in any season really, because your chances of getting it are only about 36%, so there's a good chance you lose all your shards and you won't get it. Again, I'll put a graphic up on screen for that. If you get a Blood-Tied Blade, you might want to wait until level 35 when the Iron Rose opens up. There's only 2 Phylacteries in the pool, so the chances of this dropping are 62.5%. So, fairly high. You get more chance of getting it than not, and it will pair very well with your Blood-Tied Blade. But if it was me, I'd wait till level 30 and I'd be going for the Corpse Whisper Pauldrons. These will synergize really well with your 2-piece Pestilence set, and obviously it is a pretty nice multiplier as you go. Now there are 3 sets of shoulders at level 30, but with 19 tries from your Challenge Rift bag, that gives you just under 50%, so 47-48% chance of hitting these. So it's kind of 50-50, and it's going to be so useful when you get to 70 that I personally think it's worthwhile spending your shards on. But by all means, if you want to go a different road, you can, and they're the main options that you've got. And once you get past sort of 35-40, just too many things open up to really control your blood shard. So I'd say pick number 1 would be Corpse Whisperers, and then maybe go for the other 2 depending on which 2-handed scythe you get. And obviously you can make up your own build as you go, so that's kind of nice. Now guys, one of the main tricks every season is going to be to craft a 2-handed axe and roll it for reduced level requirement. Now I've crafted 2 here. You're looking for secondary, and you need a CC on the secondary. So here it says 2% chance to knockback, and then on this other one it's got monsters kill experience. Now we need to get the CC so that we can roll off the other secondary and we can get reduced level requirement. So you pop it in, and then if you look at the pool of things you can get, it's really small. So the idea is you take a fair few goes at this to get reduced level requirements, and you're looking to take anything over 20. So that would be pretty nice, 28. And when you get to 70, first thing you would want to do is get your Pestilence 2-piece, so you need to mop up your season journey if you haven't already automatically unlocked this at level 70, because as I say, it's a really strong thing to get. Now if you missed your Corpse with Pauldrons whilst leveling, you want to roll for those pretty quickly, so blood shards will go immediately on here. Now I would also probably use the same RNG trick for one-handed scythes with the DBs and the cube, and you're looking really to make some kind of combination to get a Tragul's Corroded Fang and then pair it with one of these two-handers that you've got in your cube hopefully, or you can get a Scythe of the Cycle and that will pair really well with either the Blood Tide or with an Altorius because it'll buff either of those two secondary skills. So you're looking to upgrade one-handed scythes and you've got a 50-50 chance of getting one of these. And again, upgrade maybe a two-hander if you need to mix and match. But if you've got the Shadow Hook, you can do anything. So either of these two will be fine. And if you've got the Nares, again, either is fine. You can make yourself a little build that will do pretty good content pretty quickly. Now DB wise, the only other thing I would craft it will be a two-handed axe. I mean, you could use the one from leveling, just go stick it in the cube and upgrade it, and you're looking to get yourself a Messerschmitt's Reaver because this is going to be absolutely amazing for the Necro because it's going to allow us to get into Permaland of the Dead. So we're going to kind of build into that. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. As for the rest of your blood shards, I would probably be getting a Phylactery just so that you can roll cooldown on it, and you're going to want obviously to get yourself a legendary one. Once I've hit any of them, it doesn't really matter, it's just going to be a stat stick really. You're then going to move on to belts, and you're going to be looking for the gold wrap because we're going to tie that with Boon of the Hoarder to farm keys. But also you can get a Dainty's Binding, which would be really nice, or a Vigilante belt, Witching Hour, String of Ears. There's lots of really nice belts in the pool. So once you've got one you're happy with, I would then probably move on and put everything into rings. Now Necro jewellery is pretty much one of the main shining points of the class. The jewellery is really good. You obviously want to get yourself a Crispin Sentence as soon as possible, particularly if you're building into Permaland of the Dead. This will just give you a huge damage increase, and pretty much every Necro build that has ever been made will use this. But obviously as you're going and looking for this, there's some really useful rings that can pop out. You know, Convention of Elements will give you a load of damage. An Oculus ring would be great for your follower. You can get a Lornell Sunstone, which would be really nice for your toughness. And obviously you can find a Unity, so you need to get a second one and then get the token that renders your follower invulnerable, so that would really buff up your toughness. And again, Compass Rose, you could find yourself a Traveller's Pledge to combine it with. So shards and DBs are going on rings just to find the Crispins as soon as possible. Now one thing Necro does suffer with is being tanky. It is pretty squishy, particularly when you're running a build off one of the sets. You know, Legacy of Dreams, you can make really tanky Necro builds, but unfortunately with the sets you can't. So you're going to be keeping your eye out for toughness items. So if you find that you are dying a lot, you can try and get a Wisdom of Cologne. This will give you 5 extra bone armor stacks, so that would be a nice way of stacking some more damage reduction. You've rolled for belts anyway, so maybe you've got a Dainty's Binding, just get a Curse on your bar. Obviously if you've got a Tragul's Corroded Fang and the Dainties, they go really well together. Your Curse gives you extra damage and now damage reduction. You can get Golem Skin Breeches, you just need to put the Golem on your bar. This is really nice because it also takes the cooldown and reduces it significantly. So they're kind of some options that you're going to go for, you know, or maybe defensive rolls on your gear. Now once you do get your 6-piece Pestilence up, you're going to basically try and get as much cooldown everywhere as you can. So you're going to roll it on your gloves, your shoulders, you're going to put a diamond in your helm, you're going to keep your eye out for a Zodiac ring, you're going to keep your eye out for an Ingeo maybe, but really you want to be using the Reaver. And at this point you're going to be trying to do Act 1 bounties because you're going to want to get yourself a Ring of Royal Grandeur and also the Crimson's plans, because you're going to try and build your way into a Permaland of the Dead build. So I'll link you in the description to Lord Fluffy's Pestilence guide. That looks pretty much like it's going to be the fastest way to build into Pestilence and get yourself on a speed farm pretty quickly. Now one thing I would say about that build is that the Squirt's Necklace wasn't working at the time, it wasn't registering the extra damage, so you're going to be absolutely fragile as a piece of paper. But obviously you will be pretty powerful, so you know it's going to be the trade-off. You can always maybe take more defensive ring options and try and put some more points into staying alive, or just try and avoid damage. But you know, that's one of the reasons Necro can be a bit frustrating, because when you run the sets it is really fragile. Now Pestilence isn't everybody's cup of tea. You know, Corpse Lance is a skill that some people don't like. Some people don't like Land of the Dead builds. If you want to gear into Legacy of Dreams, by all means you can do so at any point. Now the gem's actually quite strong. If you get a rank 25 Legacy of Dreams, it's roughly 100% extra damage per legendary item, and also a 2% damage reduction, which is kind of nice. And that's doubled for ancient items, so 4% damage reduction and 200% damage. If you get up to rank 50, it's kind of about 200% damage, and and at rank 80 it's about 300% damage, and again those figures are doubled for Ancients. So Legacy of Dreams is pretty much where you're probably going to end up with Necro. So again, you know, you can build yourself mages, you can build yourself Blood Nova, whatever it is you fancy playing. Legacy of Dreams does offer a lot of flexibility. Now, the Messerschmitt Reaver that we talked about is probably going to be one of the most important items for Necro speed farming, because it does allow for Permaland of the Dead. And one of the interesting changes for this season is it's now going to also be procced by pets. So we're probably going to end up with a mages build that's going to be Permaland of the Dead. So keep your eye out for guides on that. Rathma, again, similarly, you might find that there's a pretty quick speed farm with Perma Mages and Permaland of the Dead. So again, keep your eyes open for any kind of builds. But Necro's fun, it's a good class, you know, there's lots of options, and if you like tanky builds, you know, you've got tanky push option with Corpse Lance, which I'll link in the description, and also a really tanky Blood Nova speed farm build, which again I'll link in the description. Other than that, you've got pretty nice speed builds. As I say, they are fragile, but you know, maybe it's the price you pay for a little bit of power. But that's it, guys. That's the Necro starter guide. I played it last season. It was a lot of fun. Legacy of Dreams is nice for the Necro, and you've got various push options, so it's good. It's a good class. So I hope you liked the video. If you did, leave a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see some more videos, and I'll see you in Sanctuary. Peace.